Think of your most important memory. Maybe it's your first day of school. Maybe it's a fight you had with someone you love. Maybe it's the best day of your life. You're sure it happened exactly the way you remember it. You're wrong. Not slightly wrong. Fundamentally wrong. And the disturbing part isn't that your memory is imperfect. The disturbing part is that every single time you remember something, you change it. Not on purpose. Not because you're dishonest. But because of how memory actually works. And almost nobody knows this. Here's what's actually happening inside your brain. Most people think memory works like a video camera. You experience something, your brain records it, and when you want to remember it, you press play. That's not what happens. Memory is not storage. Memory is reconstruction. Every time you remember something, your brain doesn't retrieve a file. It rebuilds the memory from scratch, using fragments, using context, using your current mood, using everything you've learned since then. And every time it rebuilds, it changes slightly. Scientists call this reconsolidation. Every time a memory is recalled, it becomes temporarily unstable, open to modification. And then it gets stored again, slightly different from before, which means the more you remember something, the less accurate it becomes. The memories you've thought about the most, your most important ones, are probably the most changed. In 2001, psychologist Elizabeth Loftus demonstrated something extraordinary. She was able to implant completely false memories into the minds of ordinary people, not vague, false memories, specific ones. She convinced people they had been lost in a shopping mall as a child, that they had met Bugs Bunny at Disneyland, that they had witnessed events that never happened. And her subjects weren't confused or uncertain. They were completely convinced. They described these fake memories with emotion, with detail, with total confidence. The memories felt real. Because to the brain, there is no difference between a real memory and a constructed one. Now here's where it gets personal. Think about a conflict you've had with someone, a fight, a misunderstanding, a moment where you felt wronged. You remember exactly what they said, exactly what you said, exactly who started it. They remember it completely differently. And you both think the other person is lying. Neither of you is lying. You're both remembering the version your brain constructed, shaped by emotions, by what happened after, by the story you needed to believe. This is called memory bias. And it runs deeper than most people realize. Your brain doesn't just reconstruct events, it reconstructs them in a way that protects you. You remember yourself as more reasonable, your intentions as clearer, the other person's actions as worse than they actually were. Psychologists call it the self-serving memory bias. And it affects virtually everyone, regardless of intelligence or self-awareness. Knowing about it doesn't make you immune to it. So what do you do with this? First, your most confident memories deserve your most skepticism. The ones you've told as stories many times are the most reconstructed. Second, when you're in a conflict and absolutely certain you remember what happened, leave a small space for doubt. Not because you're wrong, but because the other person's memory went through the same reconstruction. They're not lying either. Third, and this is the most useful, start writing things down. Not to remember more, but to stop your brain from changing what you already remember. A note, a voice memo, a message to yourself. Created at the time before the reconstruction begins. Because your brain is going to change this memory. It already started. The moment an experience ends, the editing begins. Your brain is not a camera. It's a storyteller. And like all storytellers, it edits for the best version. Usually the version where you make sense, where your choices were reasonable, where you are the main character in a story that holds together. That's not a flaw. That's what brains do. But now you know. And knowing changes how you hold your own certainty. A little looser, a little more curious, a little more open.